leaders of the Circle of Boros. The Druids of the Circle can call upon a diverse fighting force in times of need, one that is vastly different from those of their enemies, yet no less capable. Their martial forces are composed of low-ranking druids, numerous warrior families that have served the druids for generations, and various savage peoples throughout western Emerald with whom they develop long-standing relationships with. These groups, though not as numerous as many of the Circle's enemies, make up for their numbers with skill at arms, hit-and-run tactics, a deep knowledge of the wilderness, and a fierce devotion to the druids' causes. Wolf-sworn tribes. At the center of the Circle's fighting force are the packs of wolf-sworn. Clad in armor and draped in wolf skin, these toughened wilderness warriors are drawn from families in isolated villages within the wild places of western Emerald who owe fealty to the Circle of Boros. The wolf-sworn are greatly feared by their foes, for they are adept at hunting and slaying enemies of the Circle. The wolf-sworn have an ancient tradition to serve the druids of the Circle, and in return the druids protect and shelter their families in the remote and clannish wilderness communities. This loyalty is partially payment for services rendered, but the arrangement also affords the Circle access to and influence over certain bloodlines in which the wilding is particularly strong, in hopes of recruiting flesh blood into their order. Traditionally, the wolf-sworn have served the druids of the Circle out of loyalty to time-honored oaths, handed down over many generations. However, in order to join the ranks of their brethren, all wolf-sworn warriors must demonstrate skill at arms and the ability to survive in hostile wilds. Some of the spearmen and reeves among the wolf-sworn are more mercenary and less committed to the cause, but all must obey the blackclads. Although the majority of wolf-sworn are ordinary humans, a number of isolated tribes have consented to undergo transformative rituals that forever changes them, altering their forms and allowing them to enter into a deep communion with their totem animal. These warriors, known as warp-born skinwalkers, are among the most dedicated of devourer worshippers among their kind. Tribes who volunteer to undergo the transformation are typically descendants of bloodlines tracing back to the time of the Mulgur. In past generations, the first of these tribes had adorned themselves in clothing fashioned from the skins of predators in the belief that doing so would bestow upon them a measure of the beast's full power, and they see the transformation as a full measure of beliefs from these ancient times. Skinwalkers do not succumb to the madness that affected warp wolves. They retain their intelligence and skill in this new form while gaining a regenerative hardness that serves them well. They are among the most resilient, and implacable of the Circle's defenders. Skinwalkers who are not in combat appear to be normal humans during the day but transform at night. They keep to remote villages where only wolf-sworn dwell. Tharn Tuants. After the wolf-sworn, the next most important allies to the blackclads are the Tharn, fierce barbarians clinging to a way of life that has been otherwise long since vanished from the world. While the blackclads deliberately establish the wolf-sworn to serve their needs, the Order's close ties with the Tharn are different. Tharn have known and cooperated with the blackclads for many generations, viewing them as wilderness prophets and emissaries of the devourer worm, their god. However, these ties have become far stronger in recent times. Several decades ago, a ranking blackclad, Morvana the Autumn Blade, released the Tharn from the dire effects of a terrible curse known as the 10 Ills, which had otherwise threatened their extinction. This boon reinforced their loyalty not only to her, but also to the entire Order. Additionally, the Tharn are a savage people, and the constant opportunity for bloodshed provided to them by the Circle is more than enough motivation for most to join the Druids in battle. These tribes do not see their involvement in the wars of Druids as exploitive. They gladly give their lives to slay enemies for the Circle. All Tharn can effect a terrifying transformation that instills their bodies with the strength, speed, and appearance of a savage predator. Only loosely organized, these warriors generally operate at a tribal level in battle, where their strength and speed adds a terrific might to any circle force they can support. Those called to battle. The Wolfsworn and Tharn tribes stand ready to answer the summons of the blackclads at a moment's notice. All the fighting men and women of a village keep their traditional armor and weapons close at hand. When called to battle, they must be ready to travel to sites through western Emerald. Though the members of a given tribe may seldom stray far from their hunting lands, in times of war they are expected to go wherever they are needed. Fighting for the Circle of Orboros has spread the Tharn far beyond their traditional home in the Thornwood Forest. Tharn warbands accompanying the blackclads are often left behind following a battle, where they serve as a natural barrier to the Order's enemies. The Tharn consider any territory they inhabit as their own, and therefore worth dying for. Those intruding on their territories must be ready to slaughter whole tribes of these savage people, a task few have the daring to attempt. Though both the Tharn and the Wolfsworn are called upon to fight for the Circle in times of need, neither group is privy to the greater goals of the Druids. Rather, they are given a specific task, usually involving the destruction of the Circle's enemies, and then set loose like hounds on the hunt. Individual bands of Tharn and Wolfsworn may originate from as far and wide across a Druid's territory, and although they fight alongside one another, individuals tend to stay away from their respective communities. This gives Circle armies a very scattered and disjointed organization compared to many of their enemies. Instead of facing arrayed ranks and formations, the enemies of the Circle confront a savage horde of fearsome warriors, many of them taking on horrific and bestial forms, flowing across the battlefield like a living, hungry thing.